Alright, welcome to Digging Up the Past. In this lesson, students have the opportunity to go out and actually dig up or do an archaeological dig at a parsonage. So in this lesson, students are going to be able to observe the remains of a home, barn, garage, and farm fields that were from as late as 150 years ago. Interpret what life was like for former inhabitants of Swiss property through the objects that they left behind, and recall stories of previous inhabitants and compare their lifestyle to that of their own. Alright, so with this lesson, one of the things that you'll start off doing is you're going to start to ask the students what archaeology means to them. What do they think archaeology is? And when they answer that, you're going to go through and talk to them about, finding historical objects. Now, they're going to tell them not that they're going to be going to a parsonage that burned down, because that's a story you want to save for a little bit later. But what you can show them are some objects that what they could possibly find at the site that they'll be going to. Alright, so some of the tools that we have for this lesson mainly are going to be things that are associated with digging. So you're going to have a sifter, and each pair of students, before they even go out there, is going to get a pair of gloves. Some groups are going to get sifters if they'd like one. Groups are also going to get buckets that they can use to put the sifted dirt into those buckets. They will also get trowels, and they will get some rakes as well to help them out with the digging. Now, if they do manage to find something, which most students will find at least one small item while they're out there, what they're going to do when they get back, if it's worth keeping, if it's an object that's in pretty good shape, what we will do is we will actually hold on to that item, have them bring it back, and when they bring it back, we will put an ID tag on those items. So we put an ID tag on the items. What we will do is you will log it in this book. And so when the item has been logged, what we can do is if they find a new item that has not been found before, what we can do is we can put this up on our shelf with everything else. Alright, welcome everybody to the parsonage. This entire area here was the parsonage for the New Hope Church, which is located just across the road here. Now in the 1940s there was a fire that burned down the parsonage. And so students are brought here without actually knowing what they're going to be walking into, without knowing why they're digging in a place, an archaeological dig. So when you get here, it's kind of a surprise to tell them that they're going to be going into a house that was burned down by a fire. So now this map talks about maybe different parts of the house. Got it here. So it has like a stairwell to the basement. It has the basement itself. We have like a summer kitchen. So there's different parts of the house that the students can explore and different things that the students can dig in. Alright, so here in the basement we have a lot of shrapnel and things that you can see that students will maybe try to move around. Probably we'd recommend not moving them around while they're here. So obviously there's lots of things around this area that students might be looking for. So,
look what I found!
What did you find? Alright, awesome. This is a great example of what students might be able to find while they're here. If they're digging around, they might find lots of just pieces of metal, things that you might have trouble identifying. They might find things like this, or just pieces of objects, maybe that be screws or anything like that. Once they're done digging, if you need another activity, you also have a story called The Secret War on Sunset Lake that was written by the last child to live in this house. It's kind of a story about he and his brother playing on the shores of Minister Lake and then waging a secret war on what was Camp Chikagami or Swiss at the time. Alright, so when you get back here, after you've finished logging the items and put them in the inventory book, it's usually about time to wrap up. One of the things that you can do is I like to go through the different items with the students and maybe see if we have different alternatives that we'd use for those items today. For instance, we found like a Bayer aspirin bottle that's made of glass out on this site. So sometimes I would ask them, if you were to find a medicine bottle today, what would it be made of? So we can talk about how different items are made of different things today. And if someone's house was to burn down, as a hypothetical situation, what were some items that you'd maybe find? Or maybe some items that would be in their house that you wouldn't find, some things that wouldn't make it through an event like that. So it's an interesting conclusion to have the students kind of evaluate what are some of the items that they have and how they might fare through different events and how they might fare over time. So it's kind of an interesting thing to have the students look back and compare their lives to the lives of those who lived years before us.